Welcome to this week's video. This week is a Crown Vic special. We're going to try and figure this thing out, or I'm going to be sending it to the mechanics to get diagnosed. It's a quick little recap. We took this thing on the Gambler 500. I broke the transmission.
I think it's stuck in second.
We drove it all the way home in second gear, which took about 9 hours on what should have been a 6-hour drive.
We're gonna set up camp and try and get a few hours of sleep.
Then I found what I thought was the issue, which was transmission fluid in the electrical connector.
Alright, so I unplugged the connector that goes into the transmission. It's all full of transmission fluid.
So where we left off last, which was quite a few weeks ago now, was me trying to put this thing back together, and I snapped a bolt because I misread inch pounds as foot pounds.
That's not good.
Yeah, that was painful. Now let's get this thing thrown back together.
Like the rookie content creator that I am, I lost the audio for this. I've only been doing this for what, like 3/4 of a year now? But it went back together pretty well. Torqued it down to 84 inch pounds, not foot pounds. I did only throw 1 quart of transmission fluid in here, just in case I had to drop the pan again. I'd have to drain it all back out. And then you're seeing me here realize that it's not fixed, there's still error codes, and then telling the camera that it sucks quite a few times, so you're not really missing out on too much. Though I wasn't wrong, it did suck. After I finished up with this, we actually went camping in the Volvo and did that watchtower video, and then sometime during the next week we got back out to it, and for this part I didn't even lose the audio. Let's get to it.
This thing's still on here from last week. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it. It was a great one. We went up to a watchtower. It was really windy, a little bit damp, but really beautiful. Let me take care of this real quick. I don't know how much I'm gonna get done tonight, but I'm gonna try and get some stuff done. It's 10:15 on Friday. I'm gonna go down there and see if that one pin has 12 volts. In synopsis, there's about 3 solenoids that are in the transmission, as well as like 2 other exhaust sensors or something. And they're all powered by, I believe, the same 12-volt wire. And that wire can get damaged and then cause it to throw all the codes, just like my car is doing. So we're gonna crawl under and then get into that.
So I'm down here trying to find 12 volts in that one connector, and eventually I'm not getting 12 volts, so I think I start the car just in case that's required, and well, listen to this. So I didn't think of this too much at the time, but I think it might be signs of a larger issue, that really rough idle on start. However, Pastoral doesn't know that yet, so he's going to keep trying to figure some other stuff out.
All right, so I had, oddly enough, 2 volts on one of the connectors and about 4 volts on another connector, but I had 12 volts nowhere, let alone on the connector where I thought it should be based on my research. I'm gonna do a little more research and see what that could have been. Okay, so I did just confirm here that pin 4 should have 12 volts with the engine off key in the run position. For me, obviously I tested it both with the engine off and on. No 12 volts. My wiring's messed up somewhere. I'm gonna crawl around and see if I find anything. I've already done a quick visual inspection, but I don't know what else I can do. So the wiring for this comes out of here. This is the engine control, the powertrain control module, and then it runs somewhere through this area back down to the transmission. And somewhere between here and the transmission, a wire's messed up. Man, I thought I had a sure thing when I found that transmission connector completely chock full of transmission fluid. I think that's it for me for tonight. I'm gonna go in and do some more research and see maybe where these wires are that I need to be looking for. It's so hard to trace them back there just because everything I need to look at is behind the engine. As near as I could tell just from that inspection, everything looks fine, but obviously everything is not fine. Catch you later. I'm so tired of this big brown POS sitting in my shop. Today is Sunday, about 6:30 in the evening. Before I go to bed, I either need to figure out what's wrong with this thing and order a part or fix it somehow, or I'm going to be calling the mechanic tomorrow to get some help on the diagnostics, because I'm no mechanic. I just do stuff at home, and sometimes I'm stumped and I need to accept help.
So I spent quite a while looking around the car trying to figure out what was wrong, and I ultimately didn't really find anything. Everything looks perfect. I even pulled out the PCM completely. It looks fine entirely. PCM stands for Powertrain Control Module. In case you missed it earlier, it controls how the engine and the transmission work.
I know that you're afraid if you
I spent quite a while looking through the book, trying to see if I could diagnose the PCM and figure out if it was actually bad at home. However, they did change the PCM between the 2004 and the 2006 model years, and so my book is a 2006 and my Crown Vic is a 2004. So now my leading theory is that the PCM is bad. However, I'm not sure if I necessarily want to buy one online.
The more I research this, the less confident I am that buying one of these PCMs online would actually work. I know sorta that they need to be like mapped specifically to the car or something like that, and the used ones that I saw were just, hey, here's the thing, and I have no idea if that would actually work. If it were free, if I had a friend with a Crown Vic and I could just swap one over and try it out, well sure, I'd do that. But having to spend 50 to 100 bucks on just a random used one on the internet, and then, you know, just being out that money if it doesn't fix it, or maybe it partially fixes it, but it doesn't quite work right because it's not programmed in my car, that doesn't seem worth it. It's starting to seem like I am gonna have to admit defeat after all and take it to that mechanic. Obviously, I'm not happy about that, but I will be happy to have this thing out of my shop. Man, I knew this was a possibility and it still really does not feel good. I really wanted to figure this out, obviously. Hopefully, mechanic doesn't have near as many problems as I do and actually is able to figure it out. Well, I guess it's time to work on getting this thing moved over to the other driveway. Well, this ought to be interesting.
And I say that because if you remember, this car doesn't have any transmission fluid in it, so it doesn't really move under its own power. I'm sure it's not great to run a car on this low transmission fluid, but if you know exactly how bad it is, well, let me know in the comments. It's too late now, but I guess it'd be nice to know.
Well, that was fortunate. It had enough power to get over there on its own. I wasn't really expecting that. Well, now it's time to do a little bit of tidying here in the shop to prepare it for its next victim. Well, I called up the mechanic shop and they suggested that I go to a different transmission shop, which of course makes some sense. And upon talking to them for a little bit, instead of just making me an appointment, they did actually try and help me a little bit with the wiring to try and diagnose it and give me a few more things to check before I brought it in. I was impressed. That seems like good service to me, so if I do still need to bring it in, I think I'll be in good hands. But yeah, let's go over and check those things. There was like a couple of fuses, which I've checked a lot of them, but I think there was one that I haven't checked, and as well as a relay. And I think that might have been just about all I can do on my own. Let's go see if I find anything. Honestly, I don't really expect to find anything. I think it's something a little bit deeper considering how now the car is also running rough. But we'll go check that fuse in the relay and see if any of that stuff's the issue.
Shocker, I lost audio again. This time it's for a different reason, so at least there's a little variety here. So I checked one fuse inside that I don't think I checked before. I checked all the related fuses in the engine bay again, and then I did actually do something new. I checked a relay. I swapped the PCM relay with the horn relay, and the horn still worked, therefore the relay's good. I also verified that the horn doesn't work without the relay installed, so the relay's definitely good. In conclusion...
Alright, yep, none of those things seemed bad or swapping them didn't fix it, so it's time to take this thing to see the professionals. I'll call tomorrow and make an actual appointment to get it in there, and hopefully I'm not just being stupid. I do really appreciate the transmission shop working with me a little bit before I bring it in, though. A lot of places I feel like would just try and make an appointment, charge you for an hour's worth of labor, and swap out a fuse if that was the issue, but that really does not seem to be the issue, so hopefully they can figure it out. Now cut back to the outro I recorded earlier. Thanks so much for watching me struggle so much on this stupid car. Hopefully we can get it fixed in the future, even if it isn't me that does the fixing or the diagnosing, but if you liked seeing me struggle like that, then hit the like button. If you want to see that car get fixed in the future, then hit the subscribe button, and if you've got any suggestions, I am open, so leave a comment down below. Thanks so much for watching.